Hello, welcome to another episode of the Horror Vision Horror Podcast. I'm Sean,
And I am Anthony.
and this is a review reaction episode to a little movie I like to call I'm Going to Destroy Japan, or more popularly known as Godzilla Minus One. So this came out technically, I guess, Thursday night. It is Saturday. We're recording this the 2nd of December. We both just saw this at the theater. Anthony, what did you think of Godzilla Minus One? Oh, let me preface this also in saying you are a Godzilla fan. You have a rich history with Godzilla. I am not a fan, and that is not to say I have a predilection for not liking Godzilla. This is literally the first Godzilla movie I've ever seen, and I'm 47 years old. And yes, to answer John Bictus's question to me in a text message, I don't know how I came up in the 80s without seeing a Godzilla movie. Maybe I saw part of one. I probably did, but I don't remember it. So anyway, what'd you think, Anthony?
I loved it. It's the second Godzilla movie that's ever made me cry.
Oh,
And I'm sitting there kind of looking around at the end of the flick, seeing if I'm the only idiot, and I was apparently. But I mean, that's just how much passion I have for Godzilla films and for, legitimate character development because a lot of Godzilla movies do not have that. I mean, you kind of get military personnel thrown in there, and they're just kind of this backstory or afterthought of, Godzilla completely obliterating whatever town he's in with whatever monster he's going up against, which is cool, and that's why I watch it. But I mean, occasionally you will get a Godzilla film that's got some rich character development and awesome, scripting, and this one had it. And I mean, the audience reviews are there. You look at Rotten Tomatoes; it's got a very high rating, and I mean, I stand with the public that's gone to see this film, and it's just another Godzilla movie film that I really, really just loved. It was fantastic. What about you?
man. So yeah, Kirsten. So first of all, my parents actually went with us because they're
Okay.
here moving in. And so we were like unloading some stuff, and then I was like, "Well, we're gonna take a break." I'm like, "You want to get some food and go see Godzilla?" And my parents are not horror movie people, science fiction movie people, monster movie people, but my dad's like, "Oh, I used to watch those, back in the '50s or '60s when I was a kid, on Shock Theater." I don't know. Well, I do like popcorn, so we went, and they actually both liked it. Uh, Kirsten and I mean, I had tears like big time. I could hear her sniffling. Um, I, I was very impressed. And it's funny because anybody that listens to this show has heard me say, so I'm kind of contradicting myself. I guess because I don't have really a background with Godzilla, but when the 2014 version, the first Legendary Studios one came out, I remember seeing the first trailer where it had Bryan Cranston narrating, and I had this feeling it was close enough to, Cloverfield success kind of kicked off a bunch of giant monster stuff. And Cloverfield was, also like I remember J.J. Abrams saying in an interview, like, well, we were like in Japan and like I bought my kid this like Godzilla thing, and he's like, why don't we have something like this in the States? So that was kind of the impetus for Cloverfield. And I was hoping with that 2014 that Legendary was taking it a little bit more in that vein. And I guess what I mean by that is I had this preconceived notion of what a Godzilla movie would be. And it would be kind of like Godzilla comes up, destroys Japan, they defeat him, whatever. I don't know in my head why that was any different than what Cloverfield is, because if you think about it, it's kind of different. Or I mean, I'm sorry, if you think about it, it's not very different from what I just described. But I remember Ray went and saw it, and he's like, "Are you a Godzilla fan?" I'm like, "Not really. I've never seen any of the movies." He's like, "Well, I wouldn't go see this because it's just another Godzilla movie." So I didn't. And then I tried to watch King of Monsters on Max, or well, it was before it was Max. It was HBO. A couple years ago, and I fell asleep. And I've said this on this podcast before. With King of Monsters, I expected it to be wall to wall monsters, and all I remember was a lot of human melodrama and no monsters. And I just remember falling asleep, waking up, and being like, "Oh, that's fine. I don't need to see that." And that was it. That was, the extent of my interest. So loving this the way I did, it's got a lot of human stuff in it. But I agree with you. I thought the script, the story, the characters were absolutely aces. Uh, Takes place in 1945, 46, 47, post World War II Japan, and just really, I don't know, heartfelt, great story arc, development, everything, you know.
No, it was solid. Creature design was done exceptionally well. It's a huge departure from the Shin Godzilla that we got, a couple of years back, which is, terrifying to look at, and its deeds and different ways of dispatching, you know, everything is much more terrifying in that film. And in this one, this is so, G1, or I'm sorry, Minus One is basically a reboot to the Godzilla story. So it
Yeah.
does have more of a traditional uh, shape and design, and so it's something that we're much more used to. It does have a couple extra little, you know, things to spruce it up. Its spines do different things when it's time to, unleash the atomic breath, or whatever you want to call it, heat ray, whatever it is. And so that stuff is cool. They do still find new ways to kind of up the ante with his design. And there are moments in the film that are downright terrifying with him on screen, because, for a lot of Godzilla fans, eventually, you come around to the point to where Godzilla is the hero in the majority of the films. And he's, not the main antagonist. And again, him versus another monster, and saving the day and whatnot. And in this one, it's just complete, force of nature, total fucking destruction. And it it really plays heavy into uh, PTSD and what a lot of folks went through during the war. Um, and it leans really heavy into those, like, human characteristics and qualities that don't get spoken about in film too often. And you see these people that are broken, who are trying to rebuild their lives, only to have it shattered again by this other force of nature that was unfortunately created by um, the hubris of man, much like in older Godzilla films or in the original. So you see all that stuff happening again, but it's executed. Its execution is very well done. It's very well done. It's very spirited acting. And again, there are just some bits in this movie that will bring tears to your eyes. It's not a joke. It's a very fucking well done Godzilla movie. Very well done. I don't know, man. It's this me for me, Godzilla is a thing that's just kind of been ingrained in me since I was a little kid. If I'm not mistaken, this is like the 37th film in a
Wow.
very long line of movies. I think this is also the 70th anniversary for Godzilla, also.
Yeah.
And I mean, I I've been a fan since I was, wee bitty, and here I am today. It's funny. I'm sitting here, my nightstand. I have a little Godzilla piggy bank right next to me. And
Nice.
if you pop a quarter in, and he pops out and grabs a little, like, this is just like, it's just part of me, and I'm so glad that this is still going, and happy that Legendary is kind of, its own separate entity at this point. whatever they're doing with it. I'm glad Toho Studios is still making these just fucking incredible creature features on like I think this was like a $15 million budget.
Wow.
It's fucking insane what they can do, and I mean the craft has been honed, you know, over 70 years, and I think that they're still pumping out creatively brilliant quality product, and I still love it, dude. I still fucking love it to this day. I'm glad I sat down in the theater and was able to watch this theatrically. It was so fucking good, so fucking good.
Yeah, I would definitely suggest to anybody that has any interest in seeing this to see it in the theater, because A, support it, and B, you won't be disappointed. I mean, there's enough in it. Man, there's a sequence near the end. Well, so first, the music is incredible and really, really added to every aspect.
Yeah, I love that they were still able to utilize like the original Godzilla theme. The dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that's his theme that's been synonymous throughout all the Toho films.
Naoki Sato is the composer, and man, hats off, because it just really accentuated. And so there's a sequence near the end with a plane kind of uh leading, like goading Godzilla in a certain direction. And I mean, it was breathtaking on a big screen. The combination of them, and then also there were sequences like the first time we see Godzilla in like, so we see him early on, and then he's kind of not exactly Godzilla yet. And then the first time we see him when they're on like the wooden boat and they're out there like, oh, we're buying time, we're buying time. There's this music that's just like a sustained note that slowly builds pitch, like as if it's like you picture like a bomb coming in, right? So the pitch is changing as it's getting closer, and it was so fucking effective. Like, wow, just so effective.
If I have a chance to go back and see this, hopefully it's still there after the weekend. I would love to go give this a second go around in theaters. Um, Not only to support, but just to kind of like you know bask in the awe that is this film. I mean, there really is that much to enjoy about it, and I know we talked about on this podcast getting a chance to go out and revisit some stuff that like really hit hard with us. And honestly, this is another one that it's a monster movie, and it falls under the category of horror science fiction, and this might be one of this probably might make the list for me for top five. It's possible. It's very fucking possible. And it's a late entry, but goddamn, it is so fucking good, man. And it just hits everything. It hits all the marks. It really does. It hits all the marks, and it knows how to play with you emotionally and give you enough destruction and great special effects, which some of them were done by Square Enix, and they're a video game developer. Excuse me, they're a video game developer that worked on the Final Fantasy series. Well, but I think Final Fantasy is like one of their babies. And so some of that stuff, some of the CG that is in there is by them, and then there's other creature effects teams that worked on it. So forgive me, I just watched it. I didn't have a lot of time to like do too much research on it.
That's great. That's great. I would not have known that about the effects and the tie to gaming Final Fantasy.
Yeah, but I mean, again, everything is completely effective. It's totally effective.
Yeah. And I really like the fact that they go back. So, being that this is my first one, and I know the basic story, whether or not I've seen one when I was younger, possibly, but it's one of those, it's just such in the cultural subconscious, and you've seen it mirrored and aped and drawn from for decades. So I can't say, I don't remember ever seeing one, but I obviously know the whole, a lot of the story, the background. And the thing with Godzilla originally is it's obviously Japanese creators giving voice to a society that because so 54 would have been, so 2024 is the 70th anniversary, so 54 would have been, you know, where Godzilla first came out. So we're 10 years after World War II. So
Yeah, after Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Yeah.
so it's really just a cultural exhalation or exorcism even of all this shit bound up with the fact that like two A bombs were dropped on their society. And so it's a very nuclear age monster, and everything about it, it's, you know, it's there, the radiation, it's just all of it. And I like that this is set in, like, I like that they didn't try to update this to like modern Japan or something. You know what I mean? I like that they set it when they did. I liked that it really, the whole story is about post World War II Japan. It starts during the war, right at the end of it, and then like it picks up in, you know, obliterated, a cityscape that's just obliterated. It's just destroyed. So I don't know. I really liked it, gave a voice to that for, I feel like for, you know, younger people seeing this movie that might not understand, because you hear, you learn about history, you read about history, you're told about history, but it's still occluded by the fact that like you don't have any real time understanding of it, and you're reading about it, but you're not necessarily thinking of it in terms, in an empathetic term. And when you stop and think about things like, holy shit, man, we dropped two A bombs on that country. And I mean, all political and whatever aside, I'm just saying like the reality of the situation, right? So I really feel like this dug into that kind of this cultural scar tissue that created in Japan, and it just, it's a very strong film because of it. It's every, the main character, his motivation, which I won't go into, but is just, it's heartbreaking. And but then that leads into like one of the best moments in the movie near the end, right? So
Absolutely.
and then all the monster action is fucking outstanding too. So there's, you know, it's like, oh man, win-win.
I give it 10 out of 10. I'm not gonna lie. And that's probably me being biased and fuck everyone that says so. But yeah, I'm gonna say it's that good. We'll be fair, probably 8.5, 8.5, 9, maybe.
I give it I mean, I think in terms of letterbox, I give it a 5. I would totally give it a
Okay.
5, no problem.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying it, you know, with when you're rating things, to me, it's kind of relative unto its own. So I'm not saying like, off the top of my head, you know, Fitzcarraldo's a 5 or Goodfellas is a 5. But you take Godzilla Minus One and those two movies, they're all different movies. So I'm not saying
Absolutely.
it's as good or it's better, you know, it's just in the field relative to this movie. It's a 5. Like it's just a fucking outstanding movie. So I would definitely,
Oh yeah.
people go see it.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, high nine. High nine. It's not perfect, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it is. Just because again, bias. So fuck it.
Yeah,
No,
no, dude.
I love the goddamn movie, man. I really did. Like I said, I do want to go see it. My son found out I went to go watch it, and he's like, "Daddy, can I go watch Godzilla too?" And I'm like, "This one might go over your head a little bit. It's not as straightforward as monsters just punching each other."
Yeah,
So
right,
maybe I'll
right.
let him watch. So maybe let him watch like Godzilla versus King Kong or something like that, and see how he does with that. But this one might not be for him, just content wise. But no, fucking great movie.
I always go back. So I started watching Monarch Legacy of Monsters, even though I've never seen, like when I first saw the trailer for that, all I saw was the word monsters and the fact that Kurt and Wyatt Russell play the same guy, but like decades apart. And I was like, I'm in. And then I realized subsequently it's like, oh, the prequel series to the legendary movies, which I've not seen any of them. But I'm watching that, and I'm really enjoying it. I mean, a large part of that is, you know, I mean, Kurt Russell, but I mean, he's, and also I will say I was a little worried he was just going to be in there like very sparsely, but as of the second episode, he's like like he is actually a main
Okay.
character, so that's cool. And Wyatt's in, been in the whole thing, jumps around in time. But the thing, so have you ever heard of a comic book by Warren Ellis and John Cassidy from the 2000s called Planetary?
I don't think I have. No.
So it's this book where it's this team of these, like, they're basically supernatural archaeologists in a way that like dumbs it down, but that's basically what they are. And the beauty of this book is they can use characters where it's not exactly the character from one of the big two, or because they basically just mine the superhero and the comic book world for different stories, but like put different spins on it. So there is an issue where they go to this island off the coast of Japan, and it's like they find all these kaiju skeletons, and it goes from
Oh
there. But
wow.
I always loved, I mean, I love the comic. It's just unbelievable. But I always loved that issue, particularly the way they do it. And I'm not even sure why I've had that on the brain. I haven't read it in a couple of years, but I've had it on the brain. And so that definitely, I was like, oh, Monarch started. We got to watch that. And then we started watching that. I was like, oh shit, Godzilla -1 comes out, so it's weird. Like I got stoked for something that I like previously was not really all that into. And I don't know that I could go back and watch. Like I know Shin Godzilla has been recommended. I do want to give the legendary ones a try just because I'm watching the prequel series. Um, but I don't know. It's interesting, and it's cool that at 47, like people are like, "How have you never seen a Godzilla movie?" But I'm glad I haven't, because it's like, yeah, it's cool that there's always something that I missed or something new to to find and kind of get into.
Yeah, man. In the '80s, fucking Godzilla versus Biollante was like one of those ones where the creature design that they done for Biollante was fucking horrific, man. Like
Wow.
they set him up against some pretty brutal looking fucking monsters, and that was great watch. I really really love that one. Um, but like as far as the legendary stuff goes, if you haven't seen King Kong Skull Island yet, like they actually did it right. Like that movie hits hard and hits hard fast. It's that one's a lot of fun. Say what you want about Sam Jackson. I'm not a big Sam Jackson fan.
It's
He
fine. He's
is in the
fine.
movie. He's in the movie. He's serviceable, but that movie is like outstanding, and I would like to see more of that. But instead, we got the Godzilla versus King Kong stuff, and that's kind of goofy in my opinion. And but I definitely recommend Skull Island. Skull Island's a fun fucking watch. I think that stuff might still be up on Max because I think that's all Warner
It's
Brothers.
not.
That's all Warner Brothers. They took all that shit down, huh?
I'm
How about that?
I could be wrong, but I looked the other day and I didn't find it. But I don't know. Maybe I was. I don't know.
It's around.
Uh,
It's around though. It's accessible. You know what I mean? But that one's fun as far as like newer stuff goes. With the Godzilla stuff, the legendary. I mean, it kind of is what it is, but I mean, Toho is the world that I grew up with, and
yeah,
that's like the stuff that I love. I mean, even the extended stuff like Yog, the fucking Space Amoeba movie, or War of the Gargantuas. I remember watching that stuff with like my mom when I was a little kid. Like Sundays on like KCET, they throw on Godzilla movies or whatever, and it's just stuff that I am very fond of, man. And Toho has consistently been very you know on point with what the stories they want to tell. With the stories they want to tell and the directions that they want to go with Godzilla, and I've always been pretty surprised with what they've come up with. And I mean, yeah, as far as you want a list, I'll give you a list, man. I'll shoot you some
I
titles
wouldn't
for you
mind a list
to go
actually.
check out.
There
Yeah.
is the two experiences I remember is a bad experience uh in like 99 or 2000 when there was
Oh,
that American one with Broderick. I know nothing about it other
oh,
than it was all over every like fast food restaurant, and also like Jamiroquai, who I like. but had like a song that was like synonymous with it or whatever. And then Matthew Broderick, I mean, everything about it. And also, I remember people complaining they made him like a Gila monster or something. They like
It's
changed
bad.
the
Yeah.
design.
Yeah.
But then previous to that, I have this memory as a kid of stumbling upon some movie on like WGN Channel 9 in the middle of the afternoon. And I'm pretty sure it was a Godzilla movie. I didn't see the whole thing, but there was like this whole thing where these people went on this boat and there were these eggs. And I remember it being like creepy as fuck. And I could be completely wrong. I don't even know why I know that or think that it's a Godzilla movie. I don't know. That's it. That's literally the only other connection to Godzilla I have. Those two things. That's it.
A boat full of eggs. Alien. No, I don't know. I'd
It
have to go
sounds like
back
that
and.
shitty fucking contamination movie.
I was gonna say that's probably what it was.
Maybe it was. I don't know, but I don't. Either way, um, I definitely think people should see this. If you have Apple TV and you like the Legendary, I feel like the Monarch is worth checking out. But here's the thing: I don't think many people have Apple TV. I don't. I have it right now because I share my Apple Music with somebody who has it, and so their Apple TV is shared with me. So I was like, great. Um, it's a real niche like streaming service. I think that's how it feels to me.
Hmm. Yeah, we had access to it for a while. I think one of us got a new phone
Yeah, as soon as you buy
from
something Apple, they
Apple,
give
and
you like a
yeah,
year.
no, yeah, and I think it like just ran out too. So I'm like, ah, fuck. So now this thing's on there, and I don't have access to it. So I'm sure it'll be made more widely available in time, especially with the new film coming up because the new Godzilla Kong movie's coming out. I think spring. I think it's spring. I think it's either February or April. It's coming out pretty soon.
That's funny. I
Um,
thought that already came and went.
no, that last one came. What was that? Was that Gareth? Gareth did the last one,
Was
and
the
I think
last
he's
one,
that was
was that
you know
King of
what?
Monsters?
I think so. And then the new one is called hell. I don't even know, but there's a new one coming out, and
Okay.
like not that long from now, there's a new Kongzilla thing coming out because I'm already starting to get because I follow them on Instagram, and I'm already starting to get like new ad placements for them. So it is
Okay.
coming, and it's coming, and it'll be in the coming year. So springtime, we'll probably be seeing that soon if they don't push it to summer. But I mean, again, legendary. I'll go support this stuff because of what it is, but it's not my favorite. Like I said, all that Toho stuff. That's where it's at, man.
Quick question. Did you see, so I don't know what trailers you saw. Two, I just want to mention real quick and see if you saw them. Did you see the Ghostbusters trailer?
Yeah, I saw that about a week ago on YouTube. That popped up probably about a week ago. I saw that, so I did see that one theatrically. Yeah, I saw the trailer for it, and I'm like,
I thought it looked good.
uh, I still haven't seen the last one, so
It's good. It's good. In fact, my family's watching it downstairs right now. My parents saw the trailer and my dad's like, "Oh, so I was like, yeah, we'll watch it because that's like, he took me and a friend to see the original one in '84. So
nice.
the other one, did you see a trailer for a movie called ISS?
Yes,
Dude, that looks like the scariest fucking movie ever made, in my opinion.
that looks interesting.
Like literally, I was like, I don't know, that might hit too close to home.
Like the world's gone to shit down below, and then it's like, oh yeah,
It's listeners, I don't want to say what it is, but I'd never even heard of this movie before. But if you're listening to this and you're interested, look up a trailer for a movie called ISS. It stands for International Space Station.
we caught another one. I walked in as the trailers were starting, and I did that on purposely so I wasn't going to get bombarded with shit that I've already seen 100 times. And I walked in, and there's one coming out with Jeremy Irons in it. It's called The Cello.
Yeah,
That looked really interesting, and the teaser's like doesn't really give you shit.
it's like 30 seconds long.
Yeah, and I saw Jeremy Irons was like, I'm in. Okay, so
Yeah,
that one I
and
definitely
Tobin
want to check out.
Bell,
It looks,
and it's
yeah,
Darren Lynn Bozeman, who is I love him, but he is very hot and cold as far as how I feel about his movies. So, but yeah, I'm very curious about that as well.
Yeah, but beyond that, I don't think there was anything else. Yeah, I think it was just those that I saw anyway. But yeah, definitely the cello looks good. ISS, I was kind of like, I kind of want to watch that. That looks good. So yeah, I'm definitely in for that for sure.
All right, well, that's Godzilla Minus One, spoiler-free review reaction. Go see it. For the Horror Vision Horror Podcast, I'm Sean.
I was Anthony.
A pandemic of violence floods the streets of major cities as cases of the media-dubbed murder virus, MV20 soar, causing those infected to go on killing sprees. Caught in the middle, police detective Angela Miller finds her only trustworthy ally in the self-proclaimed psychic PI, Gerald Henry. As the two try to navigate the violence, they are drawn into New Age guru Abra Melon Harvest's plot to heal the planet. Harvest's missive?
The world is sick, and humanity is the infection.
The cure? Murder. From the twisted mind of Sean C. Baker, author of A Collection of Desires and Shadowplay in Book 1, Kim and Jesse, comes his most vicious novel yet, Murder Virus. Available where books are sold.